Hello and welcome to Connected, episode 454. It's made possible this week by our sponsors, Squarespace, ZocDoc, and NetSuite. My name is Stephen Hackett, and I'm joined by Mr. Myke Hurley.
Hello, I'm reporting live from the Moscone Center here in San Francisco. When are you guys getting here for WWDC?
You missed it in a couple of ways there, buddy.
No. I'm ready for next year.
Okay.
They're bringing it back. There's the word on the streets around San Francisco is Moscone. They're bringing it back.
Okay.
Oh, and I'm joined by Federico. I had to do that. I was so excited by being at Moscone. Hi, Federico. I apologize for not.
Hello. I think you took this I finally made it to WWDC thing a bit too literally.
No, I'm attending all of them now.
So now you're going back in time. Are you coming to us from WWDC 2016? Is that?
I'm recording live. I've got photos of the banners to share if you want them.
Please do. Yes.
Oh man.
Please.
Do you want them?
Yeah. What are they announced in iOS 12? How does it look?
Yeah. I saw the Big 12 banner.
Yeah, nice.
So
nice.
I'm ready to go.
Nice.
I have some important follow-up. I did it again. I was overexcited during the quizzes last time, and I put the scores into my spreadsheet incorrectly. I am reading from Kate, who sent in to say the total score on the quizzes episode should have been Federico with 1,770 points and Stephen with 1,690 points.
Oh my God.
I put all of the points onto Stephen instead. This has been corrected. Federico, you're back in the lead. Congratulations.
So I was winning the whole time.
You were winning, yeah.
Oh my God.
You were winning the whole time, yeah. Yeah. But now you're back to win. See, you thought you'd lost it, and now you have the jubilation of winning again. Congratulations on winning again.
Kate, thank you so much for caring about justice and fighting the constant collusion on this show between these
Federico,
two,
I corrected it. Where's the collusion? You know,
between these two businessmen who constantly try to rig the results in their favor.
Okay, well, we happen to know it's been amended.
Also, you own part of the company.
Well, still.
Still.
Glory is something else.
Still.
So.
Okay.
I have some smell talk to open up the episode.
Wait, that's a different show.
Steven is just mad that we didn't make this joke ourselves, so he's now making it himself.
I'm making the joke, but I'm also passing along some anonymous feedback from someone. All I can say is they know about how Apple Park was built. And they said that Apple does indeed pipe in, quote, this is a quote from the person, nature smells around Apple Park.
No way. What?
Why did you have this feedback? Is it in response to upgrade? Because if it is,
I had this feedback last week after we said something about it smelling nice.
I said that somebody asked me what's Apple Park like, and I said that it smells good, that it smells like nature.
Mm-hmm. And someone pulled me aside, or they sent me an email, or they faxed it to me. I can't really say how.
Okay.
And I believe them. So
this can be real, right? I mean, what is it? The piping nature smells. What? They just hide a bunch of air fresheners all around Apple Park?
Pipe it in.
They pipe it.
They have little pipes, and then the smells come through the pipes.
It's kind of concerning that they have a piping system hidden from you where they can just...
Is that how they do the reality distortion field? It's a
different thing they pipe in for that.
They're just drugging us? Are they drugging us?
This is a very concerning piece of feedback, Stephen.
Yes, somebody needs to look into this.
Also, what is a nature smell? Like what?
I think it's like flowers and stuff, kind of like a sweet, oaky smell. I don't know.
So it wasn't naturally
I think it
smelling?
enhances what's there. Because there are lots of wildflowers. I mean, like if you haven't been to Apple Park, like it is beautiful. Very, there's trees and tall grass and blooming flowers and fruit trees everywhere. I think they just enhance it.
Is this like when they say you should bake cookies when you're selling your house?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Or bake bread or whatever, so your house smells good when people come in?
So it smells homey, you know?
So they make it smell naturey, but...
Yeah.
putting flower smells. So are Apple like grinding up a bunch of flowers underneath Apple Park, just like wafting the smells out? Is that how they do it?
I mean,
they're just like above ground. It's all about nature, and underground they're just like mulching trees after trees and just like throwing the smell out. Wow, that's Stephen. This is pretty upsetting what you brought to the
Chance
show.
says in the Discord, it's literally like how casinos pipe in tons of oxygen to give you more energy, allegedly. Is that true? That's also upsetting.
I'm not sure.
This is all very upsetting. Like, how many
Isn't this apparently like planes on airplanes? They can control the oxygen to make you sleepy. It's like, isn't that a thing too? I think all of this is a lie, by the way. Like 100% of what we said in this segment is a lie.
All of this is fake.
I don't know if I believe the nature smells thing, Stephen.
I believe the feedback.
Suddenly, everybody knows that all these organizations, they pipe some substance into the air, and like it's a well-known secret, but Myke and I are just finding out about it.
Do y'all know that a lot of high-end cars now have fragrance systems? If you get like a luxury BMW and other brands, they have little pods that you put in the glove box, and they pipe nice smells into the cabin.
That's stupid. It's just another way that these car companies are trying to get more money out of you.
They add smells and get rid of CarPlay.
All right. Well, if you know about the nature smells of Apple Park, let us know anonymously through one of the many systems we have, whether it's Steven or me or the Myke Hurley tip line, obviously.
It's clear that Stephen wrote an article after visiting Apple Park because he was talking so effusively about WWDC, so you must have been high on the old nature smells.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you said, I like this. The title of your post was "The Vibe is Good." And I would agree. The vibe at WWDC is a good vibe.
Yeah.
I think that this kind of new format of WWDC, right? The at Apple Park, mostly 2-day thing, bring a bunch of developers in, bring a bunch of media in, and then also make everything available online. I think this is a very good new starting place to build from. I think that over the next 5 years, it's going to continue to grow. Like the community event will start to grow more, right? Like it used to be. Because WWDC was whatever it was, and then there was a bunch of stuff that was around it. My expectation is now we're at the starting point of the next whatever WWDC is going to be, but I think that the core, like doing it the way Apple's doing it, rather than the convention thing, I think they've done a very good job, and I'm excited to see where it builds from now.
I agree, and honestly, like, if they are keeping this format, and I guess at this point they are keeping this format, I wouldn't mind if they slowly but surely started expanding the sort of the venue, developers at Apple Park into more like a festival kind of situation, because you got the space, right? You got, and it does feel like a festival. Like I think Myke, you said this.
It does feel like a
when
festival.
we walked into the keynote area on Monday.
Yeah,
that it looked like a festival, and I think they should lean into that. They have, for example, that space they built for the Vision Pro demos, with that field that they have in front. Like I could see, for example, just a few stands here and there for maybe some beverages, maybe some different food stands, and just developers hanging out on the grass.
Right. Like people should be allowed to hang out.
Yes.
Kind of all that. And I think they should have a party. Like they should have a party because
they should have a party. Yes. I agree.
But like these are all like tweaks to this new format. And I think just in general it's good. Like more than anything, right? Like we said it multiple times a year now, just having everything available online. I think it's just better for everyone. Like even the people that are there, like you can just do whatever you want to do in the time that you want to do it. Like I just think it works. It works well.
My feedback is that Cupertino is really boring. There is nothing there, and it's
better than San Jose.
Is it though?
Yes, 100%. What did you have in San Jose that you did not have in Cupertino?
Streets with sidewalks
for what?
For walking.
Yeah, but like walking what from one closed place to another one?
Sure, but like in Cupertino, like it, I don't know. It was a very weird experience for me.
Okay,
this sort of suburban place where all the streets they sort of look like each other, and they're all like these intersections, and the way people make U-turns is weird. they have weird street signs that tell you either you turn left or you make a U-turn, and it's very strange. There are no stores. Everything is a strip mall.
Yeah.
And it's very strange to look at. Nothing besides Apple Park and 2 hotels are taller than 2 stories. Like every single thing is like a 2-story building. It's very flat. Everything is very flat with a lot of intersections and U-turn signs and strip malls and essentially one hotspot for 5 restaurants.
I think I have if you want a different type of vibe, I think I got that for you. Like there was a place, it was like 10 minutes in an Uber away. It's called Santana Row. It's like this like little development. I think that might be more what you're looking for vibe-wise. It was pretty nice around there. But like I just much preferred this to San Jose. Like I'm sick of San Jose. That place. I'm sorry if you live in San Jose. Downtown San Jose is terrible. It's even worse now because there was nothing open before, and now what's open is now closed.
Very sad. It was very sad to walk there.
I don't like. I mean, I have a personal beef again, right, with San Jose, which I understand is tainting my opinion, but like I much preferred the overall kind of like speed and vibe of Cupertino to San Jose. Like there were more places to eat in that little strip mall than all of San Jose, even when it was busy.
So you could say you walked the empty street on the Boulevard of Broken Dreams.
Correct. San Jose, downtown San Jose is the Boulevard of Broken Dreams that Green Day was singing about. I'll tell you
That's what that song was about.
That's what that song was about.
I don't know. So the vibe was great. I agree. Keep doing the event at Apple Park. Cupertino,
step it up.
And I got to tell you, I was happy to be back in Italy. Like, I'm realizing now as I'm traveling again, I have become that person. I am the stereotypical Italian. Like, I love traveling. I love meeting you guys. I love, for work, it was an incredible event. But I am, nothing beats being here for me. Like, it's just...
Yeah, the pandemic did that to me too.
Yeah.
I'm just like, let's go London, baby. Best city in the world. Come on. Woo!
Yeah.
They did that to me.
Yeah,
That's how I feel now.
I think you're right. I think it was that. Yeah, probably the pandemic really sort of changed me from that point of view. Like, you are super patriotic now, which is a weird thing.
Just like flags and all kinds of stuff, you know what I mean? Crying all the time. Got a new national anthem. I mean, what could you want? If we want to know when WWDC is next time, we're going to mark it on our calendars.
Oh, that's good.
That was my transition for you.
Yes. A couple hours before we hit record, I launched the Kickstarter for the 2024 Apple History Wall Calendar. This is the third of the trilogy, and this year I'm focusing on Apple Retail and its services business. So if you've seen one of these before, following the same format, instead of actual holidays marked on the calendar, it's a bunch of days in Apple's history. And then that's all paired with a bunch of photography, and this year some custom artwork celebrating these two components of Apple. So I'm really excited to get this done. The Kickstarter runs through July 14th. Jump on board. Now's a great time.
The best part of the calendar that I've seen, and probably that anyone could produce, is the illustration, which is in the page. You put it in the kind of on the Kickstarter page. Can you explain what this illustration is?
Yes. So I worked with a designer to recreate the artwork Apple used for eWorld, which was it's sort of like a precursor to AOL, kind of like you go and there's like different sections. You're not really on the internet. You're kind of in this walled garden. And the whole idea with eWorld was, well, it's got to be visual and skeuomorphic so people can understand it. So they did it like a little town. So you could like click on a building and see your email and go over to another one and read the news. And so we recreated that with a whole bunch of Easter eggs in it for the cover of the calendar. And that image is on the Kickstarter campaign page if you go there. And it is just amazing. So happy with how this came out. And this artwork is done by Siege Rowland, who did some stuff for you a while back too, Myke.
Including the Tiny Heads tee. Siege did the Tiny Heads tee, but he's done so much. I've had him do some posters for me for different shows and for meetups I did. And he also did the recent Rumor Roundup artwork. He is an absolutely incredibly talented illustrator, I would say. It's probably the best way to describe this kind of style. And he just did just an incredible job with SteamWorld.
Yeah,
so I'm not going to spoil any of the Easter eggs, but there's lots of just little touches in here that make it a little bit more personal to me and sort of the projects that we work on as a group. So really excited about that. I've got some photography from James Thompson that's going to be in there from back in the day, and a bunch of product photography like I've done in the previous 2 years. But I'm really excited about this. I think it's a great cap to the trilogy. And like in previous years, if you don't want a wall calendar and you just want like digital versions of the photos and the dates, you can like plug them into your calendar app. I have those available. And you can also do stickers at the top, the Get It All plan, as I call it. So lots of fun things. Definitely a continuation of the previous couple of years worth of work. But I think with all three of them together, it really kind of tells the story of Apple up to this point in time.
I look forward to like in 10 years' time when you go in and add some CGI characters to these calendars, you know?
Like a George Lucas thing?
Yeah, when you Lucas it. That's a Star Wars joke, Federico.
No, I get it. I know what you mean.
Cool. Just checking.
I know the some of the stuff of Star Wars. I know that people hate George Lucas.
I have sympathy for George Lucas, to be honest. There's a really good documentary on Disney Plus about Industrial Light and Magic, which I think does a good job of kind of explaining George Lucas. Like, I kind of see him as like, he had a vision for what he wanted it to be, but he couldn't do it because technology wouldn't allow for it. So he made his movies, then technology allowed him to do it. So he's like, finally, I can make my movies look the way that I always wanted them to. So he did that, and everyone hated it. So I feel bad for him, honestly. Anyway, Kickstarter campaign.
Yes. It funded in like 20 minutes, which is incredible. And we're over 250 people so far. So thank you all who jumped on it immediately. And yeah, I'm excited to get these out to everybody towards the end of the year.
At least you didn't publish it by accident this time.
Yes, the first year, some people may not know this, the first year I was going through the process. And with Kickstarter, you have to have your project approved. And all three of them approved instantly. Like hit the button, bam, approval. So I don't know if someone's looking at it or not. But so after that, the next screen is very confusing. You can go and do like some promotional stuff, or you can just take it live. And that button is not as clear as it should be as to what is going to happen when you click it. And so the first one, I was going to launch it midweek like I did this time. And so on the Friday before, I was like, well, I'll go ahead and get it submitted. And so it'll be like ready to go next time. And I took it live at like 6 p.m. Eastern on a Friday. And I was like, well, it's up. I guess I might as well promote it. So I was able to get that going. But yeah, it was a little embarrassing last time.
So this is the end of a trilogy.
It is.
Interesting. What are you going to do next year?
I don't know. That's a problem for future Steven.
Okay.
And I've said this before, the dates from this one, a lot of them were researched last year. So my initial approach last year was going to be software and services. And as I got into it, I realized I had way too much content. Like it was going to be way too many things on the calendar. And so for that one, I set aside the service dates. Like I moved them into their own document and closed it for a year. And then when it was time to start research on this one, I had a pretty good head start. And so I'm glad with how that worked out, because it's kind of a mirror of how Apple works, hardware, software, the services that kind of glue it all together. And so it was nice to have a head start. That's one reason this Kickstarter is like 3 weeks earlier than it was last year, because I'm much further along in the process. All the research is done. Most of the layout is done. It's in a round of fact checking, and I have some photography to finish, but in much better shape this time than I was, say, June of last year. This episode of Connected is brought to you by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform for building your brand and growing your business online. You can stand out with a beautiful website, engage with your audience, and sell anything, products, services, and even content. Squarespace has you covered for all of it. You can use insights to grow your business. If you're uncertain about where your site visitors and sales are coming from, which channels are being the most effective for you, well, you can analyze all of that in Squarespace. And once you have that data, you can improve your website and build a marketing strategy based on your top keywords or most popular products and content. And if you set up Squarespace email campaigns, you can encourage site visitors to sign up as email subscribers. You can customize the email template so it looks just like your brand online. And those built-in analytics that I was just talking about for the website, they're also there in the email campaign. So you can see how your campaigns are doing. And you can use the suite of integrated features and useful guides when it comes to SEO as well to help maximize prominence among search results. I love building on top of Squarespace. It is so flexible, so easy to make something that looks really, really great. The design element, I think, of Squarespace doesn't get talked about enough. That you can make something that really looks and feels like your brand, really without a whole lot of work. Their tools that are all built in are just fantastic. If you've got a site you need to build or a project you need to launch, go to squarespace.com/connected. There you can get a free trial with no credit card required. And when you're ready to launch your site, use the offer code CONNECTED to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain name. Once again, that's squarespace.com/connected and the offer code CONNECTED to get 10% off your first purchase and to show your support for the show. Our thanks to Squarespace for their support of Connected and Relay FM.
Have you guys heard of Reddit? I've been seeing it a lot recently around the internet. Reddit.com. Have you heard about it? There's not a lot on that website.
They're having quite a week, though. That's for sure.
It gets a lot of people talk about it. There's not a lot on it. So, like, you go there. Most of it's just private. I don't understand. Can someone explain to me what this Reddit is? I don't get it.
Invitation-only website. It's
Why can't I be there?
There's a queue.
I don't get it.
Sir, please get in line and wait for your turn.
Maybe one day.
Yeah.
How do we talk about Reddit? I don't even know how to talk about Reddit.
This is silly, right? What they're doing. So, is this the first time we're talking about this on the show?
It is.
All right. So, Reddit, like Twitter, very much like Twitter, recently announced some major changes to their API program for third-party developers who want to create apps compatible with Reddit. You may be familiar with some of them, like Apollo, which is arguably the most popular one on iOS. There's also a bunch of other ones. Myke, I don't know if you still use or used to use Narwhal, was one of them.
Narwhal is my Reddit app of choice.
On Android, you have one called Sync. There's another called Relay, I believe. Is that a Relay for Reddit? Yeah, yep. It's on Android. There's a bunch for Windows, and these are all clients that let you read.
An app that I don't understand the name of, but I keep seeing is Riff is fun for Reddit, and Riff means Reddit is fun, so the actual name is Reddit is fun for Reddit.
Sure,
it's like that's the actual name of the app, but that one is a big one on Android that I see mentioned in kind of the same breath as Apollo.
And essentially, the changes that Reddit announced included these new pricing tiers for the API, which were so expensive that it forced developers like Christian Selig of Apollo to come out in public and say, if Reddit is not going to change your mind on how expensive these API calls will be for third-party apps like Apollo, it'll be unsustainable for me to continue making the app unless I come up with $20 million by the summer. That's the extent of the incredibly pricey tiers that Reddit announced for third-party developers. And the theory here is that, of course, Reddit is sort of kind of preparing for an IPO, and they want to make sure that every single part of their service is monetized, and that includes the API. Now, this whole drama unfolded because months ago, Reddit promised that the pricing tiers for the API would be totally sustainable for developers, they would be fair, and Christian, the developer of Apollo, but others also, have been documenting on their subreddits, on their respective apps subreddits, this process for the past 4 months or so. I remember Christian writing in February maybe that he just had a call with the Reddit management. They promised that the API restructuring and and in terms of pricing would be fair, would be accessible to developers. And then a couple of weeks ago, they officially announced these pricing tiers. And just like the Twitter API, it is crazy expensive for an indie developer like Christian to realistically sustain, hundreds of thousands of users that Apollo has, would incur him costs of, essentially upwards of like $20 million.
He said on the Vergecast today, it's like, I think he said 2 million monthly active subscribers.
2 million. Oh, wow. 2 million monthly active.
I think that's what he said.
That is incredible.
That's got to be users, right? Not subscribers.
Yeah, sorry, users. Yes, users.
Yeah, because if he had 2 million monthly active subscribers, I think he'd be okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I am summarizing real quick here. And Christian had a couple of calls with the Reddit CEO, Steve Huffman, I want to say.
Yeah.
And it all got kind of ugly. In that Christian later wrote on the subreddit how the call went. Reddit was not budging from their position of, no, this is going to be the price of the API. And then this was last week or 10 days or so ago, I believe. A few rumors started going around that Christian, the maker of Apollo, was blackmailing Reddit.
There's just a lot of mudslinging now.
Yes, and so
we've kind of reached that stage.
Yeah, we reached that stage where Christian had to say, well, I tried my best, but as we were at WWDC, he announced that he's going to discontinue Apollo on June 30th at the end of the month, just before the API cutoff begins, and he published excerpts of all sort of the receipts that he has, transcripts and snippets of the phone calls that he recorded with Reddit. There's a long explanation on the Apollo subreddit, and as a result of that, the whole situation kind of exploded in that a bunch of subreddits announced this protest, sort of this planned blackout of subreddits. Now, the context here is that a subreddit is totally governed by the moderators of a subreddit. And moderators have the power to not only, of course, moderate content and users, but they can also take a subreddit, which is a sub-community on Reddit, like, for example, the Apple subreddit or the Cortex subreddit, you got the idea, the iPad subreddit and so forth. They can take a subreddit private, which means it's no longer accessible to the outside world. It's like a blackout, essentially. And initially, it was like a handful of subreddits sort of agreed to do this protest in support of Apollo, but also third-party developers and third-party apps in general, and against the approach taken by the current Reddit management. And then this protest sort of started spreading to the point where by yesterday, the vast majority of the most popular subreddits, I'm talking subreddits with 20, 30, 40 million subscribers, like gaming, for example, one of the biggest subreddits on the site, they all went private. To the point where, with all these subreddits going private, I guess the infrastructure was not prepared to have all that private content. And so Reddit crashed yesterday for a few hours.
That's what they want you to think.
Oh.
Yeah. Interesting. Interesting. And we now get to today, where we know that Steve Huffman, the CEO of Reddit, sent a memo yesterday to the Reddit employees saying that, this is another protest. It'll pass, just like every other protest we've seen in years before. And they're not changing their mind, but the protest is still ongoing. And Reddit, if you go right now, it is essentially a ghost town of
it's less of one today. So there's a tracker called Redark.
A few came back.
Reddit Dark. Yeah, we're at 6,100 subreddits currently dark. It was like over 8,000 yesterday. Because today technically is when the protest ended. like original idea for it was that it would be like a 2-day thing, right?
Right.
But then a lot of subreddits have pledged that they will remain private. I think that's unknown, right? Like how long or if that's going to remain the case. Like this is one of those things where Reddit is like perfect for something like this, which is honestly like why this whole thing has happened. Like I don't think this kind of community action could occur anywhere else. Like this is like so perfect for Reddit because like Reddit at its core has like a community mischief, right? Like you think of like when they did I don't remember what it's called, but the like pixel thing, you know, like you could like subreddits could like paint a pixel on a piece of art.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, like, and there's like this, we as a community, all of our subreddit communities can organize and do a thing, which is why now it's like extending past the 2 days because it's like grown and morphed. Yeah, r/place, send in Discord is what I'm thinking of. Like, so now it's like the original idea was just 2 days. And now it's like, oh, well, a bunch of them are going to stay dark for longer. I don't feel like I have a sense for how long this is going to last. Like, I kind of see what the guy's saying, it will pass, but the problem is what's left afterwards, right? Like, yes, this will pass, but to what end? And the whole thing just seems so ridiculous to me. Like, I understand why Reddit are in the situation where they need to charge because VC investments dried up, the company makes no money, and the only path is to try and float it on the stock market. They're very upset about the fact that a lot of the large language models are trained using their data and they want to charge people for that. That I understand, but I don't understand why they need to have like a blanket API fee. Like they could just tier it, right? Like if you're a large language model and you want to train against that data, it costs you this much. If you're an app, like a third party app, it costs you this much. Like I don't understand why it's so difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not unreasonable to say pay, but it doesn't need to be the level that it is. Like it could be way less and you're still making money, more money than you were making before because you couldn't serve ads effectively to these people. And I feel like you're not going to get everyone, but someone who's paying for a third party app probably has a little bit extra that they would pay. Like you could pay directly to Reddit or whatever, or, you know, like if you want to use a third party app when you try and log in, it's like, hey, you want to use this app? You've also got to give us 50 cents a month or $10 a year or whatever.
Yeah, or maybe you gotta sign up for Reddit Premium or something. Like, you know,
None of this seems complicated. Like, so I don't really understand why it's gotten to this point. It's so strange to me.
It's very strange. It's also very silly and sort of so counterintuitive, I think, to upset the very people who feel the strongest about Reddit. Like, folks who use Apollo, and turns out it's a couple million people, are arguably power users of Reddit, right? And then there's the folks who are using other iOS clients and folks who are using Android clients. It's a few million people, realistically, and they feel very strongly about the service. A service that is, by definition, made by the community. Like Reddit, without subreddits, nobody's interested in reading the updates of Steve, the Reddit CEO. Like, people don't sign up for that.
Federico, they were very interested during his AMA, but that was for a different reason.
People don't follow Reddit because of Reddit staff. People follow Reddit because they find other people with, you know, similar interests. And it just seems to me, and I mean, look, I run a very small community, but it feels kind of counterintuitive to me to be like, you know what a great business plan is? To upset the very people who love us and see what happens. Like, I mean, sure, you can try that if you're, you know, you like to watch the world burn, if you're into that sort of stuff, because you sure did just that. And this drama with the phone calls and the accusations. What is this? This is like middle school. This is silly.
That feels like a distraction from it anyway. Like it's not really what this is about.
You know, have some class. Come on. What's this? These blackmailing us. Like, this is so silly. And they made it so complicated on themselves just, come up with the pricing tier for because let's face it, you just want to ask the open AI people for a bunch of money. Rightfully so, because they train their model against your data. And you should really charge them because, Reddit, it powers OpenAI and it powers Google search results. And you should go to OpenAI and Google and ask them for money. I agree.
But similarly, I will make the point, right? If third-party developers are able to make money,
yes,
then they should also pay, right? There should be if the third-party app developers are not paying, you make users pay. I don't think that is unfair, right? If Reddit's not making any money, but Apollo's making money, Reddit's hey,
sure,
what about us? And I don't think that is an unfair stance. It's just clearly it wasn't even just they knew it was coming and they said it was going to be fair. And then it came and it wasn't fair and there was no more conversation. It's just the way that these things unfolded was just all wrong. And plus, people compare Reddit and Twitter, which I understand, but I think there's a key difference where using Twitter's tools is fine. Using Reddit's tools, not fine. The Reddit app is not good. The Reddit website is just terrible. It's so bad. I don't understand.
Every single time you open a reddit.com link in Safari on your iPhone and half of the page is taken over by that mortal pop-up, it's terrible. Everything about it is terrible. So maybe they should also rethink their approach to maybe they should try and have a real native product that doesn't suck, but that's a different problem. I think maybe Reddit just took a look at the Apollo numbers, for example, and figured, hey, this guy has 2 million users and they make, 1 billion requests per month. Surely this guy can come up with $10 million. Maybe they just...
Yes, that's Federico, that is probably it. And so they just grossly overestimated what they could charge people, and then for some reason decided not to change course on it.
Yeah.
It seems like a bunch of mistakes. Mistakes are fine, but then they didn't react to them. You were saying earlier about upsetting your community. People upset their communities all the time, but it's what you do when you found out you've upset people. Yeah. That's the important thing, because it's not possible to be perfect. It's you've upset people. Why did you upset them? Can you fix it? Fix it. But they just decided to choose maximum chaos instead. And at a point where I don't know, it doesn't seem possible at this stage to try and imagine how the situation will resolve itself. Because I feel Twitter is easier, where it's people just continue using it and that's the end of it, right? It's just going to keep being used until it goes away. But you can kind of predict where it's going to go now, I feel But with Reddit, I don't really feel it's easy to predict. My expectation is what will happen is slowly these Reddits will start to unlock again, but then post that, I don't know what happens.
Probably, I agree with you. I think realistically, a lot of people will try and use you can use old Reddit if you go to old.reddit.com, and if you just put old dot before any reddit.com URL, it takes you to the old interface.
Yep.
I think Reddit will most likely kill that because they want people to use the new version of the site. Yeah. But past that, I have no idea. The product itself, if you don't use a third-party app or browser extensions or whatever, it's so bad. Realistically, I cannot imagine myself using, going to the Apple subreddit via the native Reddit app or the Reddit website. It just really, it's so bad. So I don't know. I have no idea. I think the subreddits will come back. I'm surprised that the CEO was allowed to make this whole mess without any repercussions.
Well, he was founder too. I don't know. I just don't know if people can actually argue with him. I'm not sure if he has one of those Zuckerberg situations.
They don't have shareholders?
It's complicated. So I don't know if this is the case, but Mark Zuckerberg is in a situation at Facebook where he has the ultimate say. There's it's all about voting stock. So if he wants to do something, this is that metaverse thing. No one can tell him he can't do it. He can just do it. I don't know what the situation is with Reddit, but I feel Federico at a certain point, they're all just well, we're screwed if we don't do something. Because they don't make money, and there's no VC money anymore. this is why the IPO was even floated. The situation is, what else are you going to do? I reckon someone could buy them. I was listening to the Shitaku Daily Update today, and Ben was suggesting some people have been positing like Google could just buy Reddit, which just feels like a great idea for everyone.
I mean, it's the best source of actually human search results.
Mm-hmm.
I've been appending the word Reddit to all my Google queries for years now.
Same.
Like it's the only way to find actual content farm content from people on the internet these days. That is actually free.
I didn't remember this, but Condé Nast owned Reddit.
Yeah.
This is not a thing that I remember happening at all. But nevertheless, I don't know what kind of control Huffman has. But yeah, I'd forgotten that completely.
I don't know. Honestly, it's in our community, talking strictly about our side of things. It's very sad to see Apollo end up like this, right? After 8 years, one of the very best apps on the platform. It just I don't know. Honestly, it's terrible. And it's the second time in the span of a few months that this happened, right? First with Twitterific and Tweetbot, now with Apollo. I don't know what it says about the idea of, maybe you shouldn't build an entire business on top of an API that you don't have control over, or that it's not federated in the sense that if it stops working, you can just go to another server that offers the same service, right? Because we've seen in just 3 months, 2 very similar stories here. Third-party clients that got the rug pulled from under them and now they're gone.
This episode of Connected is also brought to you by ZocDoc. If you're trying to find a cause for your symptoms, maybe you stumbled down the TikTok rabbit hole or Reddit, and maybe you're now freaking out. There are better ways to get the answers you want and the care you deserve from trusted professionals, not random people on the internet. ZocDoc helps you find expert doctors and medical professionals that specialize in the care you need and deliver the type of experience you want. ZocDoc is the only free app that lets you find and book doctors who are patient-reviewed, take your insurance, are available when you need them, and treat almost every condition under the sun. Maybe you have moved to a new area or you have something new going on in your health. Maybe it's just time for a change, where ZocDoc is a great way to find a new healthcare provider. No more Dr. Roulette or scouring the internet for questionable reviews. With ZocDoc, you have a trusted guide to connect to your favorite doctor who you haven't met yet. Millions of people use ZocDoc's free app to find and book a doctor in their neighborhood who is patient-reviewed and fits their needs and schedule just right. Go to ZocDoc.com/connected to download the app for free. Then find and book a top-rated doctor today. Many are available within 24 hours. That's ZocDoc, ZocDoc.com/connected. Our thanks to ZocDoc for their support of the show and Relay FM.
Apple Vision Pro. So we didn't get a lot of time to talk about this on the last episode. Federico had a demo, I think the day before or the morning of the episode. I then had my Vision Pro hands-on experience just afterwards. We've both, since, like many people, been thinking about it a lot and have published content talking about it. And I guess we should talk about it a little here too. Federico, you just published your article, which is full of, as I said to you, I texted you and said, like, you had the ability of explaining things that I was not able to get across, like how kind of the way that using the Vision Pro made me feel, because it's quite complicated to explain this, I think. But it really does feel like, and I think people get a sense of this even if they haven't tried it. This does really feel like the beginning of a new frontier for personal computing.
Thank you for the kind words on the article. And I think it's very difficult to talk about it because like, first of all, it was a 30-minute demo for a product that is not even out. And it's not like you can tell people, yeah, you should go to the Apple Store and check it out. and it was a very sort of guided, crafted demo for something that has no frame of reference, right? It's not like you're describing a new iPhone or a new iPad. It's not even a new type of computer. It's something completely different. And so I think for me, the challenge was, no, there were two challenges. One of them was describing what it feels like. But the second was also retaining in my notes and in my brain how I felt like, because as you're using it, like you think all these things, right? But the demo goes so quickly, right?
So fast.
It goes so
Yep,
fast that you're just jumping from experience to experience. And I was not taking, you cannot take notes as you're trying it. And so by the end of the demo, I had all these thoughts, but I was also speechless. And there were people asking me, so what did you think? Because they do like a little Q&A at the end. And like,
come and ask these questions. Like, oh, I have no questions.
And I'm like, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. And so I figured I'm a slow writer, that I know about myself, especially for these things. And I needed to think about it. So I figured, I'm going to take some notes for sort of these like bigger ideas that I want to talk about. I will let other people who are much faster than me sort of do these hands-on articles and like first impressions. But yeah, I'm pretty happy that I waited a week, because it kind of gave me an opportunity to think it through on my way back to Italy, and also sort of explaining it to Sylvia also helped. And just talking about it with friends, who ask me, so what is it like? I feel like it was good to write about it outside of the bubble of WWDC.
It seems like both of y'all just keep thinking about it, right? I've heard you both mention that in a bunch of places.
I don't know about you, Myke, but personally, it just feels like you try this very sweet thing and they take it back from you after 30 minutes, and you're like, no, give it back to me.
Yeah, I really wanted to just do the whole thing again.
Yeah.
Because also I know there was stuff I was missing, and it's a very well crafted demo, and I expect crafted in that way. Like, they are speeding you through it. I think partly because it needed to be on some kind of rails. Like, I've heard various accounts of people who like just tried a thing and it didn't work. Like I think I heard someone say, I think it might have been Ben Thompson, that like they brought up the keyboard and it just didn't work, which makes sense, right? Like, it was just like a very do this, do that. So there was more that I wanted to be able to do, but they're like obviously just like bringing you, hey, try this, just do this, and you're like going through it. And I wanted to just do the whole thing over again so I could actually pay more attention in certain like in certain areas. So you are left with this feeling of like you got just a taste. Like, and I want to do more with it. And like now I'm seeing things like right now I'm talking to you and my vision of my laptop is obscured by my microphone stand.
Same.
And I would quite like to be wearing a Vision Pro so I could have a large screen rather than my 13-inch screen, because everything's overlapping. And also, it wouldn't matter that the microphone stands in the way, although I might bump it a few times. But I guess I'd be using it in spatial, so I would see it anyway, right? Because you'd have the pass through. And so but I could like move things around. I could put it up there a little bit in front of me on the wall so I could look up rather than trying to look down. Like, I keep bumping into these situations where I feel like it would be nicer if I could do this. And then the more I found out from developers about the way that these apps can kind of work is very exciting to me. The idea, because when you're doing the demo, the apps are all kind of just in this one line in front of you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you can actually put them wherever you want. Like, you could just take an app and just like put it on the desk and just leave it there. But I didn't really have that experience as such. Like, there was a window that I moved around, but I personally didn't move it in like a strange way. So like,
oh, I did.
But like the only one I did that to was the FaceTime one, because my FaceTime experience was so bad I didn't want to look at the face anymore. So I just like took that and put it behind me. And But like the idea that I could take a clock widget and put it on my desk, and I could take a photo widget and put it on the wall, like that kind of idea is so tantalizing to me. And now I just keep seeing it everywhere, like how I could use this device. Yeah, it's so complicated to explain. You do sound a lot like you're talking about a dream that you had, which is always a thing with AR and VR, I think, because you are trying to describe something that you could see that nobody else could see. So it definitely has that like dreamlike feeling to it. Yeah, and I think Federico did a good job of explaining the way that things made him feel, like especially the 3D photos and videos, which I found to be a unsettling, but not necessarily in a bad way, kind of experience. But it was just like seeing something and I think the weird part was seeing somebody else's like memories. Like if they were my images, I think I would probably have cried my eyes out, like just looking at them. But like, see, you're like, I'm a dad of this child, and this is this child's birthday. It's very strange. It's a very peculiar feeling.
I keep thinking about the photos. I keep thinking about the video. The Apple immersive video 2-minute montage that we saw. But also, as I try to sort of explain in my story, I feel like we should not ignore the potential for, and thankfully the three of us were not doing that, but I see a lot of folks doing it, saying it's just an entertainment device. And
no.
I'm gonna offer a prediction here. I was talking about this with John OTJ, and it's why I sort of structured my story the way I did. I think come next year, that whole thing that we've been sort of talking about for a decade, you cannot use an iPad for real work. I think that argument will find new life, will be repurposed as, you cannot do productive work on a Vision Pro.
The place that I'm seeing this pop up is people are saying to me like, oh, but there's an app store, so it can't replace the Mac. And it's like, I know what you're saying, right? That like you can't just install whatever software you want, but that you need to forget about that. It's like you in that scenario, you're forgetting the iPhone exists, right? Like the iPhone is a bigger deal than the Mac. More people use the iPhone every day to do their work than Macs. Like that's just numbers, right? Like, and I know that I can't install like, I don't know, some homebrew thing on my Vision Pro, but like I don't think you need that. Like if the Mac App Store was fully stocked, we'd just use the Mac App Store, right? Like it's just because people don't want to put the software on there because they like the flexibility of not needing to. But we're entering into this new world. Like the iPhone is great. It has all the apps you're going to need and all the experiences you're going to need. Or you can just use a web browser. I think Vision Pro is just going to be the same scenario. Like, forget that, right? Just forget it. Like, it's a different thing.
And also, I mean, come on, let's face it. Programmers with opinions are not exactly, they're not exactly the pulse of the average population on Earth. Like, oh, I'm a programmer and I cannot install this weird command line tool on an iPad. Therefore, it's like, dude, you're a programmer, and 9 out of 10 people don't need to do that on a computer. Like whether they're students or lawyers or doctors or whatever. So like, I feel like that conversation, however, like all those people have been waiting for a new platform to sort of attach this theory onto. And I feel like with Stage Manager, did I say Stage Manager? I didn't mean to say.
You did say Stage Manager. I like the Freudian slip there.
Yeah, with Vision Pro, they're just gonna go for it because it's such a perfect opportunity. But still,
I think
anyway.
this is it's so early to say this, but I think that the iPad, quote unquote, didn't work, right? In the sense of like, this is the next thing in computing. Like, I think we can feel pretty confident that that's not the case. Like, it didn't replace anything. Not that I really think the Vision Pro will replace anything specifically, but like, there was an idea for the iPad or what it could be, and it didn't catch on and replace for enough people their laptops, I think, because realistically, the iPad and a MacBook are too similar, right? So, like, there isn't, I don't think, enough of a compelling use case for a iPad with a keyboard for people where they can just use a Mac and a keyboard. The Vision Pro, there isn't anything that exists like this. Like, it is compelling on its own because it's doing something hugely different than a laptop and an iPad or a Mac, right? Like, it is projecting this environment. You can have this mixed kind of view. It's doing things that don't exist, which I think gives it a better chance of being successful than the iPad had of being successful. I'm not saying you have to agree with me, but do you follow where I'm going with that?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, no, I think the fact that it stands on its own and has no similar product definitely helps in terms of like, oh, this thing can it's not a replacement, which I think has long been the problem of the iPad, right? And likely the reason why the iPad Pro even exists. And we don't need to get into all of that. But I do feel like I think you're right. I think that will definitely help the product. But we'll see. I mean, I do feel like it'll be perfect for entertainment, for communication, or, I have my concerns about gaming. I didn't talk about gaming at all in my story, just because if it just, it was not part
Apple
of the demo.
Didn't either. So,
Apple didn't either. They literally just showed like a person with a DualSense controller playing.
Look at this very immersive way to just play an iPad game. Okay.
So we'll see. What I know is that it's gonna, like, on one hand, I am happy that this is not coming out until next year, because it just gives me an opportunity to, think about iOS and iPadOS 17 this summer and in the fall. And
I mean, it's great for us as content creators too, right? We have like 6 months to talk about this thing before it comes out. Then it comes out, we talk about it for years. Thanks, Apple. You know what I mean? We can just opine for the next 6 months based on these half an hours that we have.
But I also want it. So it's gonna be very challenging to wait at the very least 6 months, or most likely 7, 8, 9 months if this thing comes out in March. So yeah,
I'm not sure how I want to ask this. I didn't experience it like y'all did, but I get the sense from everyone talking about this who did it. This is a much more feelings-based product than we've seen from Apple, maybe ever. Like, I have feelings about the Macintosh, right? But most people don't, right? Most of the people see these as tools that overlap in weird ways sometimes, and that's where you get some of the discussion you just talked about. But something about this makes it feel so much more personal and intimate. And I do worry a little bit about that when it comes to like first impressions. Like, I'm sure we've all had people talk to us, even in the audience, right? People just know this is coming. People feel like creeped out by it, or they're really excited about it, or they don't want something on their face. Like, it feels like this is a little bit of a different bracketing for the conversation than we've had before. And I want to kind of keep tabs on that as, we move closer to launch than after launch, because I'm not sure an Apple product has had to deal with this in this kind of way before, or at least to this extent. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes perfect sense because it's so different. And it does come from these multiple angles, right? I didn't feel comfortable about Apple entering this because I was worried about like shutting off to the world. But I feel like their entire product is focused on trying to stay connected with the outside world. And so I feel a bit more comfortable with it. But then, like, I'm still reserving judgment for, like, I didn't see notifications as such. Like, they only really showed one. And I'm, like, keen to see what is that like, because I don't like the idea of just, like, notifications being beamed into my eyeballs.
Yeah, same.
So that's one set of feelings. But the other side of the feelings is, like, what you were driving at the beginning of, like, me and Federico feel very strongly about this, having experienced it, But I think for me, most of my emotional feelings are coming from the entertainment aspect because it's more immersive. But using it like a computer, it's just a very impressive thing. I'm not like in love with the user interface, you know what I mean? But like I was just stunned at how impressive it was. It was very funny to me. I had a nostalgia that I didn't realize until I read Federico's article that it does look like the PlayStation Vita interface, which is very funny. But yeah, I think that it draws a sense of emotion out of you as the user because it's surprising, it's different, it's incredibly impressive. But then there are these emotional things, which are photos, videos, movies, that everyone will have that experience the same way that they do today from looking on their other devices, I think.
I feel like this happens because it's maybe a good way to describe it is it's the most intimate product they've built. I mean, because it literally goes on your face and in front of your eyes. It's a feelings-based product, which is a really good description, Stephen, because it tricks your brain into seeing a different or slightly altered, reality. And, unless you're a robot, that will create feelings in people, So yeah, a feelings-based product. I really like that. Yeah, we'll see. I really want one.
Me too. Before we wrap this segment up, I wanted to push people towards 3 pieces of content. One, Stephen has Apple Vision info that we all hope that he would have, which is talking about the history of Apple Vision, where that name comes from.
Sure.
It was very funny to me, Stephen. I was doing some because it's about a bunch of monitors. I was doing some calculations, and the Apple Vision 850 AV, the Apple Vision Color Sync 850 AV, was $1,999 in 1997. That makes it as expensive as the Apple Vision Pro in today's money.
And that thing weighed like 87 pounds, so you really got your money's
Imagine
worth.
putting that on your face.
Put that on your face.
Oh, you would have been in trouble. In case if people haven't listened, I want to recommend my episode of Cortex that I did.
Yes.
Where if you want to know what the demo is like, I chronologically went through the demo, recorded the very next morning, so I was very feelings raw in that episode. I'm very proud of it. And also, _ David Smith has written a great article, kind of, I think, evangelizing why people should be considering about developing for Vision OS, talking about why he is considering, and why he is, and he makes a statement in the post, is developing for Vision OS. So I recommend people go and check that out too.
This episode of Connected is brought to you by NetSuite. Being a business owner or working closely with one means knowing your numbers. If your business earns millions or maybe even tens of millions in revenue, stop what you're doing and take a listen, because NetSuite by Oracle has just rolled out their best offer. It gives you visibility and control that you need to make better decisions faster. And for the first time in NetSuite's 22 years as the #1 cloud financial system, you can defer payments on a full NetSuite implementation for 6 months. That's no payment and no interest for 6 months. And you can take advantage of this special financing offer today. So why are NetSuite #1? Well, it gives you everything your business needs in real time, all in one place, to reduce manual processes, boost efficiency, build forecasts, and increase productivity across every department. Having all the information you need in one place makes it so much easier to make decisions. I know that as a business owner, having all that information makes everything easier. Things operate more smoothly when information is available, and it means that I can make smart decisions faster. This NetSuite offer is extraordinary, so join the 33,000 companies who have already upgraded to NetSuite and gained visibility and control over the financials, inventory, HR, e-commerce, and more. If you've been sizing NetSuite up to make the switch, then you know this deal is unprecedented. No interest, no payments. Take advantage of this special offer today at netsuite.com/connected. That's NETSUITE, netsuite.com/connected to get the visibility and control you need to weather any storm. Our thanks to NetSuite for their support of the show and Relay FM. So I wanted to wrap up this week by doing a round robin on some of the smaller things that have come out in the week since WWDC. Some of these things were one sentence in the keynote, and then more comes out on the website. Some weren't mentioned verbally at all by Apple, but as we've all gone through the product pages for these OS previews, and as some of us have been using the betas, we have some things we want to touch on. Before we do, though, I actually want to ask where y'all are with the betas. So, Myke, let's start with you.
0.
No beta.
Because I'm not a madman. I'm traveling right now. So none. 0.
Federico?
I put it on my main phone as I was traveling, and I also have it on my iPad Pro.
We would expect nothing less.
Oh, what about you, Steven? Yeah.
I have it on my iPad mini.
Oh, okay.
That's it so far. No real stage manager changes on the iPad mini. It didn't magically show up for me. And I will have Sonoma on a M1 MacBook Air that I picked up for testing and for screenshots and stuff. I will get that set up when I get home. I, like Myke, I'm traveling, so not on my phone. I generally do the phone once the public beta is out, and I'll do the dev builds, but kind of in conjunction with the beta program. So I'll be on the phone here in probably about a month or so.
I don't do anything on my phone until at least beta 3.
Yeah.
That's like my rule for myself. And then I will also kind of test it out here and there. What I will say, I'm tempted by the iPad Pro running this. I don't have an iPad Pro, but like I'm considering it maybe. But if I do that, it's not going to be for a couple of months' time.
Okay.
I'm just intrigued. Stage Manager just looks really nice. And so like I'm intrigued by it again.
Well, let's round robin this up. Myke, you are first.
As audio and home expert,
New title.
yep, I would like to talk about VPN support in tvOS 17. So that's a native thing that Apple has added that I'm very excited about because you would be able to install a VPN. I use ExpressVPN. They sponsor some shows, but you can use any VPN you would like. And what it would allow me to do is to be able to watch content from other territories directly on my Apple TV, where like I've done it in the past where I want to watch a thing, but it's in the US only. And so I've had to use my iPhone and then AirPlay it to the TV. Now I wouldn't need to do that because I'd be able to use my VPN directly on my Apple TV. I think this is really good.
Very cool. Yeah, I was excited to see this and a little surprised. Like the only reason I think you would run a VPN on an Apple TV is to do exactly what you said.
Well, what Apple say?
Yeah, read Apple's quote because it's very funny.
Where is it? Third-party VPN support enables developers to create VPN apps for Apple TV. This can benefit enterprise and education users wanting to access content on their private networks, allowing Apple TV to be a great office and conference room solution in even more places.
Yeah, sure, buddy.
It's like, yeah, that's true, but come on, you know? Like, but hey, keep it to yourself, Apple, so no one gets mad at you. We appreciate what you're doing.
The feature I want to mention is internal linking in Notes, which I cannot believe they've done it, but they've done it. And as you can expect, it's a simplified sort of Apple version of the wiki-style linking that's become popular with apps like Obsidian and Notion and Craft. And now it's supported in Apple Notes as well, in a much, much simplified fashion that, however, at the very core, still lets you do exactly the thing, which is link to other notes in the Notes app. So by default, you do this by pressing on an external keyboard on a Mac or on an iPad, Command K, or finding the Add Link button in the... So here's the thing. You guys know the copy and paste menu, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
For the past few years, Apple officially, and by officially I mean Human Interface Guideline officially, referred to it as the edit menu. So the official name of the copy and paste menu is the edit menu. And this add link button is in the edit menu. However, there's a little asterisk here. As I was talking about this with OTJ, the iOS 17 product page refers to the edit menu as a call-out menu. So because I'm the type of person who obsesses over these things, Apple, if you can let me know whether the proper terminology is edit menu or call out menu, that would be appreciated. Anyway, parenthesis closed.
Hig check. We'll call that a Hig check.
Hig check.
Got the Hig check.
Let me know, please. You got my email. So you will find Command K on an iPad or a Mac, or this add link option in the edit menu. And that brings up a window that lets you either paste a URL to a web page. So any HTTPS URL, you now have a proper way to create hyperlinks, essentially, in Apple Notes, which is nice. Or you can search for an existing note, and the link becomes an internal wiki-style link to another note inside the Notes app. And once you enter that, you get a little yellow link, and you tap it, and you open a note. You follow a link, and you go to another note inside the Notes app. There's also, and I found out about this thanks to Mac Rumors, a really handy shortcut, which is two forward-facing brackets,
greater than
two
symbols.
greater than signs. Yeah, you type those, and it brings up a sort of it's a little shortcut that opens a pop-up with a list of recently modified notes. So if you're in a hurry and you want to refer to another note that you recently modified, you can type two greater than symbols, and you will get this window. Works on the iPhone, works on the iPad. I cannot believe that Apple has done this, but also I think it's the right thing to do, to modernize Apple Notes by paying attention to where the market is going.
Mm-hmm.
And sure, this version of internal linking doesn't have all the bells and whistles that you may be used to seeing in Craft or Obsidian. There's no backlinking, right? So backlinking is the ability to see in the note that you linked which other notes refer to it. Obsidian nerds care about that sort of stuff. There's no sort of mind map, network graph, whatever it's called, of all the notes that link to each other, but that doesn't matter. This is the essence of the feature, and Notes now supports it. So I think this is going to be great. Whether you want to create a table of contents or documentation for your team, you want to have a start page in a shared folder, and the start page of, something takes your team members or your family to different notes. I think this is lovely, and I'm going to use it a lot.
My first one is one of the most dad-oriented features, but exciting. It's called Check-In. So this is where a friend or family member can be alerted when you reach your destination. So say that you've got a kid who is on the way to a friend's house and it's late at night. You want to make sure they get there safely. You can set this up instead of having to remind them, hey, text me when you get there, or looking at Find My or something. If you stop making progress, it checks in with you. And if you don't respond, it shares information with the friend or family that you've set it up with. It's set up ad hoc. It's not something that's on all the time. You say, yes, I want to check in for this specific thing. When that information is shared, its location, battery level, and cell service of the iPhone. And of course, all of that is end-to-end encrypted. This is kind of a clever feature in the sense that it doesn't really add much new. You could do this with Find My to a degree, and Find My shows battery level on devices, but it's a bit more polished now. And as someone who's got almost now 2 teenagers, something I'm looking forward to being available, not all the time, but in those moments where hey, we're something unusual is going on, or you're kind of out and maybe it's a bit unusual. I think it's going to be good. And I think Apple has
it enables some features that Find My would have, but without needing to make your kid do Find My with you all the time, which might be complicated, right?
Right. I mean, and it does, I'm putting in the context of parenting, but
yeah,
you could do this with us flying home from WWDC, because I think most people know by now you care for everyone when we travel. And so it is that the ad hoc nature of it is nice. I think it'll be primarily used in the context of family, but the nature of it kind of it's uncoupled from iCloud family sharing and those other services.
I think in the keynote they were talking about it as friends.
Yeah.
Right. So like this is the thing that I know a lot of people do who feel otherwise unsafe in an area on their own, right? Like if you're you're going home from a night out or something, it's a way to, like I know that threads like people say like drop a pin. So you can like drop a pin in like an app like WhatsApp and you can watch the progress. This is like just a very nice way of doing this, adding in stuff like battery level and cell service, which answer questions for you. Oh, this person's battery is fine, but they don't have cell service where they are. It will pick them up again in a minute, I'm sure, right? So like, I think it's very clever, very well made. And Stephen, happy Father's Day.
Thank you.
Oh, is it today?
It's Sunday.
No, Sunday.
Oh, okay.
You just said it was the dad feature, so I just figured, someone's got to say it.
All right, I'm up next. This is a quick one, but I'm really happy to see this. Couple handy new features in the podcasts app. So the now playing screen has been redesigned. It now has this sort of like music inspired full screen approach. And I think there are some new artwork features for podcasters too. Like I think you can probably optimize your show artwork for this full screen experience. But yeah, it looks very similar to the music app otherwise. And more importantly for me, because I was literally complaining about this only a few weeks ago and we talked about it on the show, there's a proper queue. At long last, there's a proper queuing system that is no longer weird in the podcast app. So in the now playing screen, you will find in the bottom right corner this new list icon. You press it and it takes you to the queue page. Where if you've queued any episodes, you will find, a queue that you can rearrange, or you can tap on an episode to play it, or you can long press it to get a bunch of actions. But even more nicely, in the same screen, you will find a chapter menu for episodes that have chapters, such as this one. It's collapsed by default, and it tells you the current title of the chapter you're listening to. But if you press it, you get a full menu with all the chapters you can open in the episode you're listening to. And generally speaking, the whole up next, up next, play next thing has been, I was very confused by that. And that was clarified with this update. Up next is sort of like the up next that you get on tvOS, where it's a mix of episodes from shows that you recently followed and new episodes from shows that you were already following, as well as episodes that you started playing and that you may want to resume. But then there's a proper queue also that is no longer called Play Next. I was very confused by that, if you recall. And so now I find it all very simple. Up next is like a showcase of things I may want to listen to, but everything that I want to listen to in specific order goes into my queue. See, it's not that difficult.
Playing next is the term, that little thing, and it includes both a queue and continue playing. So it's still not like super clear, but the word queue, with just like, and then there's a queue, that is good to have.
The button says add to queue, and it's got an icon that shows an item going to the bottom of a queue, and then you open the now playing screen and it says queue. Like the terminology really helps.
It's weird there's so much feature work about Eddie in this app. A lot of queue work.
Oh.
Can you please talk about your item?
Just real quick, last thing. They've added something I didn't know that they had because they supported something else. There is now episode artwork.
Yes.
And I was like, no, but it does this. No, it does. And it has done chapter artwork for a long time. But if you set specific artwork for an episode, it doesn't work.
Like the Rickies.
Yeah, like the Rickies. We just did it with Cortex. That's how I checked it. I was like, but we had the art. And it's like, no, if you do it as a chapter, it works. You do it as an episode, it doesn't work. So I'm pleased they're adding that.
Me too. I was excited about that.
Yeah.
My next one is Doc Kit. This is bananas. So this is an API to integrate camera apps on iOS 17 with motorized iPhone stands. I don't know. I don't know why this is a thing this year.
You don't know why?
I mean,
Oh, for the
The
continuity camera, right?
Well, yeah, I just figure this is all part of like building out more functionality for some eventual home product. It's
yeah.
gonna
Oh,
follow
also
you
that
around.
it's like
Maybe.
standby on iOS 17, which is totally like
Yeah.
the interface of the future home display.
Yeah, and FaceTime on Apple TV. Like it
Yeah.
all just feels like this. All to me feels like it moves towards the same result.
Yeah.
But
So this will follow a person or object moving 360 degrees around, uses Apple's vision frameworks to detect these things, and then the stand and the phone communicate, and the stand moves the phone where it wants to go. Like the tvOS VPN quote, this is kind of funny. Apple points out that the new DotKit API has many uses beyond video capture, including fitness, enterprise, education, and healthcare. But isn't it just video capture in those fields? Like, I don't know. This is something else too, like standby. It's like, why not the iPad? Well, because the iPad doesn't have MagSafe. But pretty cool. Not something I expected. And I think the first person or the first company to make a really cool motorized iPhone dock. Send it to us. We'll review it on the show because this is wild. Maybe you could attach it to like a remote control car, and it's like you build your own Amazon Astro, but with your iPhone as the brain.
that's a pretty good idea.
Someone do it. Make it happen.
This is interesting, and I think this will also be super cool with the continuity camera thing, right? And Apple TV, and
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, it's like a hardware version of Center Stage.
But I'm sure it will make Center Stage even better, right? Like if you paired these two things together.
Oh my gosh, the phone is moving and the picture is moving. It's like, what if they get into contention? You know, it's like you're on a boat. That'd be bad news.
They're just fighting against each other.
It's just, you vibrate faster and faster, and the phone flies off the stand.
I wanted to just mention shift clicking in Stage Manager. So this is on iPad OS currently, and I'm really hoping that it comes to Sonoma too. They're like, if you're in a stage, anywhere that you click on an app icon and press shift from a stage, from the dock, from Spotlight, it will open in the stage that you're currently in. It has been confirmed to me that this is not in Sonoma, and I really hope that is just like they just haven't gotten to it yet. I will give it like a maybe another beta or so, and I will file a feedback on it.
Now's the time. Now's the time to get your feedbacks in.
Well, Mac OS takes a long time.
That's true.
You know, Mac OS, we got until like November. So
I
we're
filed
fine.
one on the Sonoma version of reminders already because I just apparently, even though I don't use reminders, I send feedback about it.
What was it?
It has remained an issue. It's been that way forever, that in the inspection pane on a task on the Mac, you can't change the list the task is on. You can do it on iOS, but not the Mac.
Oh my God! Yes. Thank you for filing that.
So I'll put that feedback number in the show notes. If we're working reminders out there, you know someone who does, help me out. My next one is turning off iCloud Drive, or really not ever turning it on, no longer disables iCloud app syncing. So the way this works in iOS 16 and before, any app that relied on iCloud to sync data between your devices, that wouldn't work if iCloud Drive was off. And you may be wondering, why would you have iCloud Drive turned off? Well, the answer is on a lot of phones managed by corporations, iCloud Drive is off for other reasons. A while back, maybe like a year ago, Marco was talking about this with Overcast, that he had no idea people were in the state, and he was looking to move to iCloud syncing for some things, and this was an issue he was hearing about. Well, now you can have iCloud Drive off on your iPhone or iPad, and I assume the Mac too, and it will still be able to sync via CloudKit. So it was never really clear to me why these things were tied together, because iCloud syncing of Apple's own apps was unaffected, even if iCloud Drive was off or like the user didn't have an iCloud Drive folder. But now they've separated those things. And I think that's going to make life a lot easier for people who carry a phone around that they don't manage themselves.
The Home app has become a snitch.
Okay. What is it
and I'm
about
happy
you and
about
snitches
this.
lately?
They get stitches.
Snitches, man. They do. Activity history in the Home app lets you see the last 30 days of activity for your devices and who interacted with them. So now you can find out for sure who left the window open. You know what I mean? So it's in there. I actually like this feature, and I like the snitching potential. unless it snitches on me, where then we'll be reverting back to an iOS feature before. We'll go back to 16.
Is this feature available right now? Oh, I guess I need to be running a Home Hub on 17, which I'm not.
I don't have the answer for that. Like, there might be some kind of thing that has to happen first. You know what I mean? Like, you got to upgrade your home architecture again, which I still have yet to do, the home architecture upgrade. But at some point I will
Chance
do it.
points out an important detail here, in case the context gets lost. You bullied a dog at WWDC.
No.
What?
By calling
I did not bully a dog.
the dog a snitch.
Let me state this again, because you know you can't trust Federico with this. We were in the line waiting to get in, and there was a sniffer dog.
Very good dog.
And the sniffer dog looked like it was snitching on someone. We worked out that this was clearly a test of the sniffer dog's capabilities of detecting marijuana, is my assumption.
There's no marijuana in California.
My point was, sniffer dogs are they're snitches.
They're not. It's their job.
It's their job.
They are. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if then they are professional snitches. They're still
Sounds
snitching.
like a guy who was trying to sneak pot into Apple Park.
Yeah, I know, right?
I'm not going to talk about what the dog found or didn't find, but that dog is a snitch. Still snitches. Doesn't matter if it's snitching for good. You can snitch for good.
That dog
but it
is an
snitches.
officer. You should show some respect.
Snitching as a service. An officer of the law?
Yes.
All right. It is Detective Inspector Snitch
Oh
then.
my
I don't
God.
know. But it's still a snitch. Dog is a snitch.
I
Very lovely dog. Still a snitch.
don't know what happened to you lately. You and your secret activities.
I got snitched on.
Yeah, I
by a
guess.
dog. And now here I am. Yeah.
All right, so the last pick is autocorrect. And I cannot believe I'm finally saying this, but oh my God, it's so well done. Like, I almost cannot believe it. Typing on an iPhone finally doesn't make me feel like I don't know what I'm doing with my fingers anymore. It's excellent. And this is not an exaggeration. It is very, very well done. The way it actually predicts words and entire sentences that make sense as you're typing. It suggests those words, and you see them sort of like in light gray as suggestions. And if you press the space bar, you autocomplete the whole thing. And again, it can be a word or it can be the rest of a sentence. It's super well done. I'm seeing way fewer mistakes. You can still, you still get the chance to revert to, like, for example, let's say you type something and autocorrect kicks in and you're like, no, I meant to type that. You can tap on the highlighted word and you get a list of the options that you can revert back to. It's really well done. This is apparently based on the new transformer model that Apple talked about at WWDC, and whatever they're doing, I think it's working, because this is so different from the autocorrect that, as we've mentioned before on the show, I am convinced it was getting worse over the years. And now it's much better. Now, will this also progressively get worse, or will it progressively get better? In theory,
I think it will get better because it's learning on you.
Exactly. So in theory,
well, I'm very bad.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So maybe my autocorrect will be terrible, but yours will be fine.
don't learn from me. So yes, honestly, like, I think this will be, if this continues to be so high quality in the beta, this will be the feature that I will tell people why they should upgrade for in September. Like, you know why? New autocorrect, because it's something that everybody does. It's like
You can't.
autocorrect. It works. Autocorrect.
I wonder if this will be enough to convince my wife to turn on autocorrect, because she doesn't. She's never turned it on,
Really?
which I find wild. I don't know how she uses her phone. I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense to me. She types without autocorrect. She does a better job than me. I don't understand how it happens, because she originally did it, I believe, because she would type in two languages.
Right, but it's been supported for a while.
I know it supports it now. I don't know if it supports Romanian. Like, I actually don't know if it does. But I said this, and she's like, "But I'm used to it now, so why would I turn it on?" Which, I mean, if you can type on an iPhone without needing autocorrect, and you could be successful in that, then I guess you don't need autocorrect, right? Like you're proving it. But yeah, it's wild to me.
Do y'all leave autocorrect on the Mac?
Yes.
See, I have it off on the Mac.
Is there a way to turn it off on a
Yeah,
Mac?
it's under the keyboard settings somewhere.
Yeah. Good luck finding it.
Keyboard settings, huh?
System settings, man.
Interesting. Where
Oh
would
my
one
God,
go
look at
for
this.
keyboard settings?
Yeah, no one knows.
System
Keyboard.
I'm having
See?
the problem right now. I'm looking at it, right? I have it open. One of my main issues with system settings now is I open it and I still can't work out where anything is. Like I'm looking at the keyboard settings and it's laid out in a I don't know, is it in here? Maybe.
Dude, there's no setting for autocorrect. Come on.
Yeah, so it's text input and then all input sources.
See, I mean, why edit? Why call this edit? Like it says input sources.
I have to edit all of British English. I have to edit the entire thing.
And there's 3 switches: correct spelling automatically, capitalize words automatically, add period with double space, which is a sin on the Mac. Like, do not have that on.
Yeah, they're all on.
Oh, I leave them all on. I also do the full stop with double space.
You know what's bad? People who put 2 spaces after a period.
It's true.
Yeah, I don't get that. Why do people do that? Do you know who does that? Gray does that.
No.
Yeah, Gray does that.
Why? Is it like a teacher thing?
Maybe.
No.
It's not good.
He even does it in text messages.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm looking at him right now. He does it.
Oh my God, he does it.
He does it. Yeah. I don't understand it.
Gray, you broke my heart.
I'm snitching.
Just like that dog.
I'm just like the dog. I've turned around. I turned a corner. I love the dog now. Federico, I do have one question for you in autocorrect. Does it work in multiple languages as good? Like, is it this good in Italian and English?
Yeah, I've been chatting with Sylvia and my mom, and yeah, it's been working well in Italian. Is one of the it's on the webpage. I think it's one of the officially supported languages for the new autocorrect, and yes, it works as well in Italian and also in the switching between English and Italian, like mid-sentence, which is my weird made-up language that I use with Sylvia. Yeah.
What, do you have a name for that language?
Ticci language.
Do you really? Do you call it that?
No. It's my weird way of talking and
could.
writing, with my family. It's I don't know. I honestly don't think I'm fluent in Italian anymore, but whatever. Yeah.
Where is the languages page? You said there's like a page that it tells you the languages.
Must be a footnote somewhere.
Oh, here we go. Romanian's in it. Arabic, Dutch, English, French, German, Hebrew, Korean, Italian, Polish, Portuguese, Romanian, Spanish, and Thai. English, French, and Spanish require iPhone 12 or later? What?
I bet the models are bigger.
Yeah, but that's like such a weird thing, right? Like, oh, you want to speak in English? You need an iPhone 13. What?
Yeah, you probably need like whatever neural network update came with the 12. But that is weird.
That's wild, though.
It's weird.
So the new autocorrect, if you speak in English, will only work if you have an iPhone 12 or later.
Seems like it. Get your mom a new phone, is what we're saying.
Yeah.
Or, oh, wait, it says English, but then it says, oh, no, yeah, English, French. That's very peculiar. All right.
If you want to find links to all the stuff we spoke about, head on over to the website. That's relay.fm/connected/454. Those links are also in your podcast player. A couple things you can do there. You can leave feedback or follow up. There's a submit feedback button. It goes to a little form on our website. You can make it anonymous. So if you know about why Apple Park smells the way it does and you would get fired for telling us, you just click the anonymous button and we won't tell anybody who you are.
We're no snitches, is what we're saying. Yeah.
We're not snitches.
We're not snitches. We're not like those dogs. We're not sniffer dogs around here. We do want to know the smell, but we won't snitch.
Yeah. You think the dog is confused by piped in smell? It's like, where's it coming from?
Maybe.
The pot's from way over there, but I smell it here. Yeah. What happened?
What's happening?
Poor dog. That poor dog.
You can also become a member and get Connected Pro, which is the longer ad-free version of the show that we do each and every week. If you want more of us the other 6 days of the week, you can find us online. Myke is the co-host of a bunch of other shows here on Relay FM and the co-founder of Cortex Brand. You can find him on Mastodon. He is iMyke at myke.social. You can find Federico at macstories.net and all of its associated properties. He is on Mastodon as Vitici at macstories.net. You can find me on Mac Power Users every Sunday here on Relay FM, and I write over at 512 Pixels. A big thank you in advance for checking out my Kickstarter. It means a lot to me. You can follow me on Mastodon as ISMH at eworld.social. I'd like to thank our sponsors this week for making the show possible: Squarespace, ZocDoc, and NetSuite. Until next time, guys, say goodbye.
Arrivederci.
Cheerio.
Bye, y'all.